also got some Lily Owl. I think I'll use a touch of Lily Owl, which is another Lily synthetic, also a heart note. Gonna add 3 drops. Now what this perfume doesn't have is any hedione. It doesn't have any ISO E Super. But what I do have is the Grossman Accord in this bottle. And when I originally started with this formula, I did intend on adding some of this, but it's an accord that has an acquired taste, I think, and I'm not a big fan of ionones, so I'm not a great lover of this accord. But I've kept it here next to the bottle with the perfume formula in, because it was always in the back of my mind just to add that to it, just to see what happened, because I'm still looking for ways in which I can enjoy this accord and getting it into a perfume, and as of yet I've not been able to do that. So I actually think, since there's no hedione, since there's no ISO E Super in here, that I will now add a little bit of the Grossman Accord. Now this accord, I got it off a website, a really good website. It's full of lots of perfume formulas, all for free, by the guy, and I forget his name, but I will look it up, and when I edit this video I will put it up on the screen so you'll be able to see it now. And it's a really good, gives you some ideas. I don't think there's anything in his formulas that I've been able to make, because there's always been some oils that I didn't have, but it is a really good resource, and it's definitely worth a mention. So that's basically where I got this accord, which is just basically his version, you know, his amounts of hedione, methyl ino, ISO E Super, galaxolide, you know, so you can come up with your own, but yeah, this is his. It probably has a little bit too much methyl ino in for my tastes, but we're gonna have a little bit of this in the perfume. Like, I really don't like it. It just smells so synthetic. So I really don't want to add too much of this, because then we're going to be spending all of our time trying to tone it down. So I'm just going to add 3 drops. And we'll retest it. Oh, it definitely smells really, really good now. We've hit the creamy, we have equilibrium. We've hit the creamy smooth texture that I was after. And it's still interesting enough. It doesn't smell really commercial or anything. You still get those undertones of something more earthy. Definitely more earthy. Just trying to think what else could just really. Yeah, just there's still this magical oil that it needs. We've definitely got the textures built up. We've definitely got the interesting factor. There's a beauty element to it. It's also, I want to say animalic, but it's not animalic. It's more of a human stink. But a really toned down stink. And I'm just thinking what else we could eat. What else we could use? Maybe some kaffir lime. Or maybe that's just a bit too dense. Yeah, I have this really interesting seaweed fluorescence, but I think it's far too masculine. It's basically just a marine accord. You can definitely smell cologne in there. But I am excited to use it to see how well it performs, as opposed to me using some cologne and then using other ozonic oils in the heart and the top, trying to create this aquamarine perfume. It would be really interesting if it could be done just with this bottle. It would save a lot of time, and I don't really like those types of perfumes. I think they fit a certain type of occasion, but one is pretty much like the other, so they all smell the same. So I like to have one of those perfumes. I sometimes like to smell like that, but it can be quite boring to make those perfumes, because I think you're dulling all of the other notes once you start adding lots of cologne, etc. You know, sometimes it works, mostly it doesn't. I'm basically smelling it from the top of the bottle, just because I love smelling things. It's not an accurate representation of how the perfume smells. You really need to smell that on your skin. All I'm smelling now is the most volatile oils evaporating. But yeah, it's like, you know, when you smell something you really like. So there's lots of oils in here that have really nice smells, especially the top notes. And obviously you smell and you get a big hit of those top notes, and it's just addictive. It makes me want to keep smelling, but it definitely doesn't represent the smell of the perfume at all, so best not to pick up that habit. So actually now I'm going to add some orontiol. This is methyl anphenolate. It's a Schiff's base, and I think that would be a lovely note in this perfume. This is really impossible to administer. That was a generous drop. Really difficult to measure out an oil when it's so viscous. What I'm going to add now is a little bit of alpha damascone, and this is a 10% dilution. I think just a little bit of this will really help just raise the fader a little bit of beauty, the beauty fader, I think. Going back to our mixing music analogies, I really think that this one will just raise that beauty profile just slightly above everything else. Add 4 drops. It's also a little green. I think kaffir lime leaf is just a little over the top. It's really dense and quite musty. It's not a clean lime note. But I do have another accord from Perfumer's World, which is Lime Zest Tops, I believe it's called. If I can just put my hands on it. And it has a real freshness to it. But at the same time, if I was to use lime essential oil, that has a mustiness to it as well. Not really musty, but yeah, it's what I want is something zingy, and I want something a little bit more subtle and a little bit more transparent. And the Kaffir lime leaf essential oil and normal lime essential oil, it just isn't transparent enough for me for this idea that I have. So I'm just going to use a little bit of that fluorescence, and you know, it's also an experiment just to see what it smells like in a perfume, if I can find it. It's really disappeared. Where on earth has it gone? Ah, we found it. Staring at it all along. Lime Zest Tops Fluorescence. Yeah, it's just a little bit more transparent than lime essential oil. But yeah, we definitely don't want this musty character. I mean, you know, I'm saying that just because I've smelled it from the bottle, but it could smell really fantastic in the perfume with the rest of the oils. But I think we'll add this, or maybe we'll add a mixture of all three. How about that for an idea? This is definitely more zingy. I guess we could add this just for that little bit of fresh zing. And literally we'll add 2 drops of that. So that's the lime zest.